I'm genuinely curious how a vegan with no prior history of being violent with anyone or having any altercations with anyone would be so full of himself that he would run inside of a college house with 6 kids in there and think that he could just commit the ultimate crime, never get caught, and get in and out in under 20 minutes. He had no DNA on him, no DNA in his car, no DNA in his apartment, no DNA in his drains, no fingernails DNA underneath there. But Maddie had 3 men's DNA under her nails that remain unidentified. Not to mention, like I said, he had never been in any kind of physical altercation. Typically, people that do stuff like this have a past violent history with animals and other people. And why does nobody ever talk about the dog that they found skinned on the frat yard 2 weeks before any of this happened? Whoever skinned that dog is most likely whoever hurt those kids. And I don't know why everyone just brushes past that, or why that there was red stuff on Jack D's door frame. They didn't test that. They had to physically go inside of his house, in the documents it says, and like go flush his toilet or get something out of his toilet. What was he hiding? They never found the unaliving weapon. I mean, I just don't see how they can convict someone of this crime with only touch DNA, knowing that touch DNA can be planted. It can also be transferred from person to person or object to object, meaning Brian could have shook hands with the actual killer. They go and use the knife from the knife sheath, and boom, now his DNA's on there. But they also found partial profiles of another unidentified male on top of the knife sheath. So please tell me why a vegan who can't stand red stuff would commit a crime like this. And how did Hunter Johnson walk in and say that he thought it was an unconscious person, when if you look at the crime scene photos, you would have immediately seen the red stuff everywhere? It was not like they said it was. It wasn't a quiet night in Moscow, just like Midwest Chicken Shore Nikki says. And you'll never convince me that one person did this alone. Did they ever test the abandoned white Hyundai Elantra that was left in Eugene, Oregon, 6 hours away? And why did Jack Showalter leave in the middle of the night and take a 6-hour drive to his parents' house? Was he disposing of a alleged weapon? Because he also lied about the time frame of when he left the corner club with the girls and left a 30-minute window out. So you tell me. Based on the evidence that became public after the case concluded, it was not only Brian Kohberger's DNA that was recovered on the knife sheath, but the details matter. The button of the sheath contained a single-source male DNA profile that matched to Kohberger. This was the DNA evidence used to identify him. Other areas of the sheath produced partial DNA mixtures. One swab contained a partial mixture from at least 3 individuals, including at least 1 male. Another swab contained a partial mixture from at least 2 individuals, including at least 1 male. So would that say there was a female as well if they weren't all male comparisons? Those mixed samples contained too little DNA for meaningful comparison, so investigators could not identify the contributors. And right here, I took the liberty of including some cases that people were implicated by touch DNA and later exonerated because the DNA was planted or contaminated.